Okay, so far we on Beyond the Gate season 2 episode 148, and Chelsea and Kat are trying to debut a new bag called the Nikki since Nicole was taken by one of their competitors. Vernon just popped up in Bill's room. Tomas also popped up in Bill's room, bringing him a brief. Danny just showed up at Bill Hamilton and Associates just to check in on Naomi. Because as you know, Naomi is filling in for Bill, and Naomi kind of hints at Danny that, she has a problem with someone in the office. And Andre and Heather get reacquainted. We are going to probably find out a little bit more about Andre and Heather's past, but hopefully Andre is able to stand his ground, because he's been running, but Heather does bring up that bottle that she sent. But we'll see. Anita tells Kat and Chelsea that they need to have a talk with Nicole about naming that bag because, it might not go over well. You know what? And now that I listen back to what Danny just said about Tomas and Kat, I'm glad that she sees it that way. You know what? I'm a take a little bit of the tugation that I was putting on Danny wig. I'm a tug it a little less because now I know she's not probably on the side of Kat and Tomas being together because the way she laughs, she doesn't even believe in that relationship. But it's the things that she said to Naomi following that, when Naomi clocked her tea a little bit about her calling Bill, her husband, and being loyal to a fault. And then she told Naomi that her and Andre have already talked about it and that they had an honest conversation because that's the kind of marriage they have. I'm just like, y'all, did we miss something? And then Andre is in here with Heather, and they dang there looking like, I don't know if she looked like she ready to jump his bones. He looked like he ready to jump her bones. But I'm just like, Andre, what's the tea? Like, what made you just up and leave Heather? Was y'all together for a minute? Like, was that your boo? Like, what's tea, friend? Help us. Help you. Help us, please. Vernon will win, be a room and shut the door. Is you or is you ain't developing friendliness for my daughter Danny? Because you already told me you want her back. So what's tea? The streets is saying Haley running around with some man, and you think it's just gossip. Maybe the attention that you think you're paying Haley, you ain't getting, and maybe she looking somewhere else. Wow, Vernon didn't pull no punches, and I ain't mad at him. Danny, on the other hand, is in denial real bad. And Andre just found out that Heather's brother is Joey Armstrong. He didn't even know she had ties to the DMV. So if she knew that Andre was from the DMV, why is all this information just not coming out if they are star-crossed lovers? I'm not really seeing what's going on for real. And we almost halfway through the episode. So I'm going to need a little bit more explanation Beyond the Gates, people. Because what's really going on for real? Andre, how you know this woman? And how long were y'all entangled? Riddle me that. Riddle me that. Oh, I hate this for Danny. Because Heather is being... So now Danny is put right back in the position she was in with Bill, possibly having somebody else. And now there's another woman who's coming after her husband, who's conniving. We don't exactly know what Heather's intentions are because Heather keeps saying that she doesn't want to be attached and that she hasn't liked being attached. But when Andre tried to dismiss himself, she kissed him, and then he was just like, this cannot happen. And so he was like, I probably won't see you before you go back to London. And then when he leaves the room, she's like, oh, that's goodbye for now. Girl, oh my God. This is going to put Joey in such a bad spot once he finds out what is going on. Vernon also continues his conversation with Bill, and basically he told Bill that if I find out you doing anything to impede on Andre and Danny's marriage, the next time we have a conversation, it will not be so pleasant. And it's just like, I don't blame Vernon for being a protective father. And Bill also highly respects Vernon. But I'm just like, Bill, like, what exactly did you think was going to happen? And they still haven't even found out about the entanglement yet. So this is just going to be a mess altogether. Oh, yeah, and I also forgot to mention, Kat has, started feeling differently about Eva. Her mind is changing. It's interesting given, the journey that they both went through. But she does end up revealing to Chelsea and Anita that she's glad that she decided to go through with the transplant, because had she not, she would have been so full of regret. You know, Understanding Kat and, the last year of what's going on has been difficult for the audience. There have been, sides have been definitely divided between Eva and Kat, but I do think there has been very complex conversations around the dynamic of Eva and Kat, and who could have done better, which I think they both could have done better. But the situation still giving that hand. Kat was a victim on the receiving end of what happened with Leslie and Eva. So her taking her time to come around and have her feelings and sort her feelings out, even with the complexity of a situation with her being her half sister, I think that, I'm glad that Kat is finally coming to peace with everything. People are questioning Haley's whereabouts because Haley has not been seen at the hospital to visit Bill today. Tomas and Naomi just got into it because of, as we know in the beginning of the episode, Tomas took Bill files. Naomi feels like her father should be rested and Tomas should, respect whatever's going on. But Tomas says he answers to Bill. He doesn't really answer to her. So they're continuing to clash. Tomas takes the rest of the day off because Dani initially, a couple scenes ago, suggested it. But, Tomas is trying to basically win Bill over because he wants to advance within the firm or whatever. But, that's up and down. And then Jacob and Isaiah, the fine Hawthorne brothers, see Andre day drinking at the bar. Andre has not answered or picked up his phone. His phone is going to voicemail. Dani has been calling him. And so now, even though he hasn't been answering, she's going to start getting suspicious. And I'm just trying to see how all that's going to transition, honestly, because she's not used to Andre behaving like this. Anytime she calls, Andre pretty much was at her beck and whim for real. But, Jacob seems to think that it may be because of the whole Bill thing, not knowing, there's something brewing heavily in the background. What is this chemistry I'm sensing with Kat and Isaiah? Now, I know they had scenes together before, but this scene is very, after she just sent Tomas packing to the gym because she was just like, I got so much to do, I can't blink. But Isaiah walks up and, girl, you are blinking, girl. So what's going on, Miss Mamas? If Kat and Isaiah have a moment, I just don't even know. I mean, I can't even be mad. I mean, that would be justice. Oh, Lord Jesus. Let's see how this is going to be wrapping up soon. Jacob informed Naomi about what was going on and what he saw at Uptown with Andre. Come to find out, Grayson told Ashley, and Ashley called Dani to come pick Andre up because Andre had been drinking a lot. Then we see this very interesting flashback that Andre has where he was speaking to a guy who was working undercover, and come to find out Andre didn't know anything about Heather and, what was going on. But he did say that, if you tick her off, she will get in contact with people you love and your family, which is everything she has done to Vanessa and Dani. And I can't wait until somebody finds this out, because who can Andre actually confide in and say something to, because he found out about the organization. I think he's going to end up saying something to Jacob, but we shall see in the incoming episodes. There's just a few things to think about now that the episode is over. And one being, I just can't, trace back to what exactly got Dani and Andre to this moment. They went from being so open and so honest in their relationship to now they both are hiding something. And then it's just the fact that, like, ever since Dani and Andre got married in season 1, I think it was season 1, we've been seeing this story develop about Andre not wanting to be attached. We've been seeing this story about him not wanting to be photographed, nervous about, just being seen in media. And that's all having to do with, Heather and him, being linked to Dani. And with Dani, coming from such a prominent family in the DMV, and then Heather being from the DMV or having ties to the DMV. And then it's the fact that Andre said he met her at like a fashion event for one of his shows or something for back in the day. It's just interesting how all of this really just came together. I know from just reading a couple of the interactions on Twitter that a lot of people wasn't shocked that it was Heather. But in the beginning, Heather would have been the last person, I would have thought of, especially since we just kind of met Heather and found out that she was the impaler. So to see that flashback that Andre had when he was sitting down with, I guess that was the guy Henry or whoever he was talking to on the phone the other day, come to find out Henry kind of was like Jacob in a sense, where he was undercover, and come to find out that, Heather had an organization. And so Andre, said that he had started seeing suspicious stuff. He had took a picture, and the guy was like, whatever you got, deleted, because, if she even finds out that you know anything, she's a top dog. She gets people taken out, and she has a reputation about it. And so I was just like, that's kind of similar to why, Joey was so like adamant about what do you want with Vanessa, because we know what you're capable of. And that's why I even think he went to the extent of threatening her the way he did, and was like, well, if I find out you're doing anything with Vanessa, I'll take you out myself. And so he knows how dangerous of a game that she plays, and, without limits. And then, it was just him also saying that, if she can't get to you, she'll get to people you care about. And even with this little meetup, he doesn't know all the seeds that she has planted. She has gotten close to Dani. She decided to call themselves, becoming friends. I figured that she was using Vanessa because Vanessa was proxy to Dani. But it's just the fact that, like, even now, this could potentially bring the Duprees into, danger and harm's way, because Andre is involved with Heather. And is Andre going to do whatever Heather wants him to do to, keep all of this quiet? I'm just so concerned for Dani, because like I mentioned earlier, this is now another situation where there's a woman going after her husband and plotting and scheming, against him. We don't know what else Andre did with Heather. You know what I'm saying? Heather swears out that she doesn't like to get attached, but this one person, it seems that, she was with Andre and she seemed to become attached, because why would she come all the way to the DMV? She has to have more than one motive, to me, to just come to the DMV. At first, I was thinking it was because of Smitty, because Smitty was, her organization was gaining attention. It was hurting her business. But now it's Andre. Did Andre say anything to anybody? Is that why she's coming after him? Because she knows he knows something? I mean, but also, why would she tell Andre that Joey was her brother? It's like a scare tactic? Because at the same time, at the end of the day, Joey did make his promise to Bill about, if anything happened to Bill, he would protect Bill's family. And with Dani being best friends with Vanessa, and he so-called cares about Vanessa, that makes him, by proxy, having some kind of concern for Dani. Also, Joey has his guys watching Heather. He has his guys watching Heather. So if Heather is doing anything shisty, or if any move Heather makes, he's going to be aware of it. And so I know one of them guys is going to tell him that they saw Andre, Dani's husband, with Heather. And so I wonder if Joey's going to dig, or is he going to say, like he did Vernon, well, this situation don't really bother me. It don't really have nothing to do with me, so I'm going to mind my business. I wonder if he going to say something like that. Or will Vanessa end up finding out on accident? I don't know. I just can't see any part of this going well. But I also know that, the Duprees are very well connected. So I can't see this whole thing with Heather going far, but it's just very interesting. It's just very interesting. And out of all of the things that Andre has done, why does he feel like now he can't tell Dani? Even if Dani wasn't hiding this secret, come to find out now, not even come to find out, he's been hiding something this whole time. He never really told Dani the real reason why he wanted to be photographed. So he was really honest about, I guess, everything else in his life except for why he didn't want to be photographed. But Andre has to do something to protect himself. He can't just keep going to Heather every time she calls, because I feel like this is going to become something that's going to get bigger than him and he can't control. He already has started drinking because it's stressing him out, and he knows that this could be potentially dangerous. So I just wonder who he's going to confide in. Part of me wants to believe that since Jacob made that offer, I just don't feel like they would throw that out there for no reason. So I feel like he's going to confide in Jacob, and by proxy, Jacob is going to end up finding out that she is part of the plasma ring. But I just hope that don't get Jacob caught up, because all this could go higgledy-piggledy for real. All this. But then also Joey made a deal with Elon saying that he wouldn't let nothing happen to Jacob. And if he wouldn't let nothing happen to Jacob, that's going to get Isaiah entangled. And he said he definitely won't let nothing happen to Isaiah. So it's just a whole lot of y'all. It's a whole lot to think about. What y'all think about today's episode?